approximately 1 quadrillion, 113 trillion, 652 billion, 592,640,000 different possible endings for Fallout New Vegas. It is likely that in the 15 years since the game came out, the player base has not even come close to receiving every combination of end slides. For a game we all know so well, there are still frontiers that no one has explored, and experiences that are yet to be had. So today, I will be pushing the boundaries of what is possible, and I will be attempting to beat Fallout New Vegas without killing Snuffles. To get started, just so I know how bad dying feels, and to start building up some empathy, Benny shot me in the head. I still love him, but that was very, very rude. I'll have to go have a chat with him a bit later in this challenge. But now it's time to create our character. I named her Defender of Rats, and to give myself the best chance of not killing Snuffles, I decided to make my character look as close to Snuffles as I could, to make me feel what Snuffles feels, and think as Snuffles thinks. For my special stats, I grabbed 10 luck, because I'm going to need luck on my side for this challenge. I also picked up 10 endurance, because enduring through a world where Snuffles still lives, that will be a great challenge. And I finally grabbed 8 perception, so that I can more easily tell Snuffles apart from any other mole rats. For my skills, I selected medicine, so that I can heal Snuffles, repair, to repair Snuffles, and finally speech, to ask Snuffles if he's feeling okay. And for the last step of creating the Defender of Rats, I grabbed the good-natured trait, because that's what I'm trying to be, as well as the small frame trait, to try to make myself a little bit less of a threat. And with my character now finished, I emerged into the wasteland, ready to finish the main story of Fallout New Vegas without killing Snuffles. First of all, we've got to head to the strip, and I'm going to go through the quarry to get there, so that I can check in on Snuffles on my way to the strip, and fix that leg of his so that he is extra safe and nothing bad will happen to him. And after a quick medical intervention and a brief conversation, Snuffles is good to go, and I can You've been fooled by the frog woman. Haha, it's April 1st, and this was a April Fool's video. If you're American, and for you it says this video came up on March the 31st, maybe try not being American. That's a bit rude, but I am okay with being rude with Americans. I also would like to apologize for anyone that was excited when they saw a frog woman video uploaded and then it was that long. But being an April Fool's video, I'm now going to waffle for like 15 minutes, so the runtime looks normal. But before we get to meaningless waffle, couple important things to go through. Thank you so much for Insect Liquid. Thank you so much to Insect Liquid for being a member on this channel. As always, your support is very meaningful to me. Second of all, if you want some more proper Frogwoman content, I've just done a collab with a good friend of mine, Audibugi, and I will put that up in one of the corners. It's there somewhere, you'll be able to find it, and I'll also put a link down in the description to that video. It's a great video, I've seen it. 10 out of 10, beautiful. Watch it now, you will not regret it. I'm not recording this on April 1st, I'm recording this on March the 26th. On April 1st, I'm going to be going to a TAFE orientation so I can get myself educated. Anyway, you may be wondering, how am I going to fill so much time with just talking to make the runtime look normal? I present to you my fiance's, I think, favorite book, The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. Let's get started. I haven't even opened this yet, by the way. I've just borrowed it from my lovely male wife. Oh, look at, it's a picture of, oh wow, that's a beautiful man right there. Holy shit. Wow. 1850, wow, he's been dead for 125 years. Oh, it's got family photos. That's awesome. Okay. Preface. Is the preface is by Oscar Wilde, so I will read it. The artist is the creator of beautiful things. To reveal art and conceal the artist is art's aim. The critic is he who can translate into another manner or a new material his impression of beautiful things. The highest as the lowest form of criticism is a mode of autobiography. Those who find ugly meanings in beautiful things are corrupt without being charming. This is a fault. Those who find beautiful meanings in beautiful things are the cultivated. For these there is hope. They are the elect to whom beautiful things mean only beauty. There is no such thing as a moral or immoral book. Books are well written or badly written, that is all. The 19th century dislike of realism is the rage of Caliban seeing his own face in a glass. The 19th century dislike of romanticism is the rage of Caliban not seeing his own face in a glass. The moral life of man forms part of the subject matter of the artist, but the morality of art consists in the perfect use of an imperfect medium. No artist desires to prove anything, even things that are true can be proved. No artist has ethical sympathies. An ethical sympathy in an artist is an unpardonable mannerism of style. No artist is ever morbid. The artist can express everything. Thought and language are to the artist instruments of an art. Vice and virtue are to the artist materials for an art. Sorry that I keep messing up the words. I'm trying here. I haven't read aloud, let alone to a camera, in forever. From the point of view of form, the type of all the arts is the art of the musician. From the point of view of feeling, the actor's craft is the type. All art is at once surface and symbol. Those who go beneath the surface do so in peril. At their peril. What is wrong with me? Can I even read? Those who read the symbol do so at their peril. It is the spectator and not life that art really mirrors. Diversity of opinion about a work of art shows that the work is new, complex, and vital. When critics disagree, the artist is in accord with himself. We can forgive a man for making useful things as long as he does not admire it. The only excuse for making a useless thing is that one admires it intensely. All art is quite useless. Oscar Wilde. That was an awesome foreword. That was an awesome foreword. I'm sorry my mic crackled there. I really enjoyed that foreword. Chapter 1. The studio was filled with the rich odour of roses, and when the light summer wind stirred amidst the trees of the garden, there came through the open door the heavy scent of the lilac, or the more delicate perfume of the pink flowering thorn. From the corner of the divan of Persian saddlebags, on which he was lying, smoking, as was his custom, innumerable cigarettes, Lord Henry Wotton could just catch the gleam of the honey-sweet and honey-coloured blossoms of a laburnum, whose tremulous branches seemed hardly able to bear the burden of a beauty so flame-like as theirs. And now and then the fantastic shadows of birds in flight flitted across the long tosser silk curtains that were stretched in front of the huge windows, producing a kind of momentary Japanese effect and making him think of those pallid jade-faced painters of Tokyo, who through the medium of an art that is necessarily immobile, seek to convey the sense of swiftness and motion. The sullen murmur of the bees shouldering their way through the long unmown grass, or circling with monotonous insistence round the dusty gilt horns of the straggling woodbine, seemed to make the stillness more oppressive. The dim roar of London was like the bourdon note of a distant organ. In the centre of the room, clamped to an upright easel, stood the full-length portrait of a young man of extraordinary personal beauty, and in front of it, some little distance away, was sitting the artist himself, Basil Hallward, whose sudden disappearance some years ago caused at the time such public excitement and gave rise to so many strange conjectures. looking at OBS. Sorry. As the painter looked at the gracious and comely form he had so skillfully mirrored in his art, a smile of pleasure passed across his face, and seemed about to linger there. But he suddenly started up and, closing his eyes, placed his fingers upon the lids, as though he sought to imprison within his brain some curious dream from which he feared he might awake. There's like no light in my room, by the way. All the light's like from the camera, and then I'm reading. There's no light behind me, whichever way that is. So that's, I keep losing my spot because there's really poor lighting. I deeply apologize. Why am I apologizing? There's probably like 5 people watching still at this point. Thank you to those five people, and let us get back to the book. It is your best work, Basil, the best thing you have ever done, said Lord Henry languidly. You must certainly send it next year to the Grosvenor. The academy is too large and too vulgar. Whenever I have gone there, there have been either so many people that I have not been able to see the pictures, which was dreadful, or so many pictures that I have not been able to see the people, which was worse. The Grosvenor is really the only place. I don't think I shall need to send it anywhere, he answered, tossing his head back in that odd way that used to make his friends laugh at him at Oxford. No, I won't send it anywhere. Lord Henry elevated his eyebrows and looked up at him in amazement, through the thin blue wreaths of smoke that curled up in such fanciful whirls from his heavy opium-tainted cigarette. Not send it anywhere, my dear fellow. Why? Have you any reason? What odd chaps you painters are. You do anything in the world to gain a reputation. As soon as you have one, you seem to want to throw it away. It is silly of you, for there is only one thing in the world worse than being talked about, and that is not being talked about. A portrait like this would set you far above all the young men in England and make the old men quite jealous, if old men are ever capable of any emotion. I know you will laugh at me, he replied, but I really can't exhibit it. I have put too much of myself into it. Lord Henry stretched himself out on the divan and laughed. Yes, I knew you would, but it is quite true all the same. Too much of yourself in it? Upon my word, Basil, I didn't know you were so vain, and I really can't see any resemblance between you with your rugged strong face and your coal black hair, and this young Adonis, who looks as if he was made out of ivory and rose leaves. Why, my dear Basil, he is a Narcissus, and you... Well, of course you have an intellectual expression and all that, but beauty, real beauty, ends where an intellectual expression begins. Intellect is in itself a mode of exaggeration and destroys the harmony of any face. The moment one sits down to think, one becomes all nose or all forehead, or something horrid. Look at the successful man... I need some water. Look at the successful men in any of the learned professions, how perfectly hideous they are. Except of course in the church, but then in the church they don't think. A bishop keeps on saying at the age of 80 what he was told to say when he was a boy of 18, and as a natural consequence he always looks absolutely delightful. Your mysterious young friend, whose name you have never told me, but whose picture really fascinates me, never thinks. I feel quite sure of that. He is some brainless, beautiful creature, who should be always here in winter when we have no flowers to look at, and always here in summer when we want something to chill our intelligence. Don't flatter yourself, Basil. You are not in the least like him. You don't understand me, Henry? You don't understand me, Harry, answered the artist. Of course I am not like him. I know that perfectly well. Indeed, I should be sorry to look like him. You shrug your shoulders. I am telling you the truth. There is a fatality about all physical and intellectual distinctions, the sort of fatality that seems to dog through history the faltering steps of kings. It is better not to be different from one fellows. The ugly and the stupid have the best of it in the world. They can sit at their ease and gape at the play. If they know nothing of victory, they are at least spared the knowledge of defeat. They live as we all should, live undisturbed, indifferent, and without disquiet. They neither bring ruin upon others, nor ever receive it from alien hands. Your rank and wealth, Harry, my brains, such as they are, my art, whatever it may be worth, Dorian Gray's good looks, we shall all suffer for what the gods have given us. Suffer terribly. Dorian Gray, is that his name? Asked Lord Henry, walking across the studio towards Basil Hallward. Yes, that is his name. I didn't intend to tell it to you. But why not? Oh, I can't explain. When I like people immensely, I never tell their names to anyone. It is like surrendering a part of them. I have grown to love secrecy. It seems to be one of the things that can make modern life mysterious or marvelous to us. The commonest thing is delightful if one only hides it. When I leave town now, I never tell people where I am going. If I did, I would lose all of my pleasure. It's a silly habit, I dare say, but somehow it seems to bring a great deal of romance into one's life. I suppose you think me awfully foolish about this. Not at all, answered Lord Henry. Not at all, my dear Basil. You seem to forget that I am married, and the one charm of marriage is that it makes a life of deception absolutely necessary for both parties. I never know where my wife is, and my wife never knows what I am doing. When we meet, we do meet occasionally. When we dine out together, or go down to the Duke's, we tell each other the most absurd stories with the most serious faces. My wife is very good at it, much better in fact than I am. She never gets confused over her dates, and I always do. But when she does find me out, she makes no row at all. I sometimes wish she would, but she merely laughs at me. I hate the way you talk about your married life, Harry, said Basil Hallward, strolling towards the door that led into the garden. I believe that you are really a very good husband, but that you are thoroughly ashamed of your own virtues. You are an extraordinary fellow, you never say a moral thing, and you never do a wrong thing. Your cynicism is simply a pose. Being natural is simply a pose, and the most irritating pose I know, cried Lord Henry, laughing, and the two young men went out into the garden together and ensconced themselves on the long bamboo seat that stood in the shade of a tall laurel bush. The sunlight slipped over the polished leaves. In the grass, white daisies were tremulous. After a long pause, Lord Henry pulled out his watch. I'm afraid I must be going, Basil, he murmured, and before I go, I insist on you answering a question I put to you some time ago. What is that? Said the painter, keeping his eyes fixed on the ground. You know quite well. I do not, Harry. Well, I will tell you what it is. I want you to explain to me why you won't exhibit Dorian Gray's picture. I want the real reason. I told you the real reason. No, you did not. You said it was because there was too much of yourself in it. Now that is childish. Harry, said Basil Hallward, looking him straight in the face, every portrait that is painted with feeling is a portrait of the artist, not of the sitter. The sitter is merely the accident, the occasion. It is not he who is revealed by the painter, it is rather the painter who, on the coloured canvas, reveals himself. The reason I will not exhibit this picture is that I am afraid that I have shown in it the secret of my own soul. Lord Henry laughed. And what is that? He asked. I will tell you, said Hallward, but an expression of perplexity came over his face. I am all expectation, Basil, he continued his companion, glancing at him. I'm starting to get a little tired of reading, because I'm doing it out loud. My throat hurts, I need a cigarette. I enjoyed reading that bit. I'm probably going to read this whole book. I haven't read it before. And if you want to read it, that's the book. Read it. And I'll put some videos of mine up on screen now for you to watch, and go watch the Audibugi Collab. I'm not even going to edit any of me reading this book. Have fun with all me messing up. Thank you for watching. If you're still watching the video, you might be quite mad, but I appreciate it. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.